Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining our first webinar. We're planning on making this a bit of a series, so keep an eye out in the future for other ones. It's going to be around similar kind of topics. We're looking to do one on port technologies. Obviously, we have the one today, AI and Microsoft Copilot. So if you also have ideas and there's other topics you'd like discussed, send them across, and we're keen to get some kind of interaction and make these webinars as useful as possible. For those of you that don't know, I'm Sam. I'm the BD manager at Shape, and Shape Associates is a digital transformation partner. So we specialize in ERP implementation, Microsoft optimization, and the change management package that kind of goes along with that. So the reason we have David on the call today is David has been working with us for a number of years delivering our Microsoft training. So when we go into a business and we deliver and optimize their Microsoft package, David will come in and then provide his training solution for the client's team. He's got over 25 years experience delivering training packages, so hopefully in the webinar today he's able to share some of that kind of experience with you guys and you get some value out of that. We're going to have chats and questions in the chat on the webinar, so don't raise your hand, just chuck it into the chat. I'll keep an eye on it and David will keep an eye on it, and if it's relevant to the topic he's discussing at the time, we'll answer it then. If not, we have a break halfway through and we'll answer more general questions, and then another one at the end where we can answer kind of follow-up questions and kind of carry on the discussion there. So we're looking to run for kind of 35 minutes, so I'll hand it over to David and he can go from there.
Hello everyone, thanks Sam. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us today. Welcome to our webinar, Streamlining Processes with AI and Microsoft Copilot. So we're excited to explore how Microsoft 365 Copilot is changing the way organizations work, especially in areas like procurement, recruitment, customer services. Today, as we've said, we are focusing on procurement. By boosting productivity and making everyday tasks easier, Copilot is becoming the essential tool for many businesses. Now, just in case you're new to Copilot, Copilot is an AI powered assistant from Microsoft that integrates into the Microsoft apps that we already use every day, such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and more. And it's designed to help us work smarter, to collaborate more smoothly, and to tackle some complex tasks with confidence. So in this webinar, we're going to gain practical insight into leveraging Copilot to assist specifically in the procurement process, starting with an understanding of, first of all, of the various different Copilot products and on the licensing that's required. We'll take a look at what makes a good prompt to get the best out of Copilot. We'll use a scenario of procuring an ERP system, but it could be any sort of procurement, to see how Copilot can be applied to the procurement process. Specifically, in our case, we'll be creating a request for proposal, an RFP, an evaluation guide, and also a supplier evaluation report, which will provide a recommendation for the preferred supplier to supply our ERP system. We've said specifically this is in procurement today, but we could use the same process effectively, the same procedure in recruitment for maybe CV screening to evaluate different CVs against a job description, or in a legal setting to perform some sort of contract review. So whether you're new to AI or looking to get more from your Microsoft tools, today we'll leave you hopefully with some ideas that we can put into practice straight away. So before we dive into applying Copilot to the procurement process, we need to be clear on the Copilot products that we are going to be using in this scenario. Microsoft have developed a few different Copilot products that cater for a diverse need. And first up, we're going to take a look at Microsoft Copilot. Now, the naming that Microsoft has used is quite confusing, as you will see, but there are three different separate products, starting with Microsoft Copilot. So this is a standalone basic chat and prompting experience. And by standalone, I mean it's not part of Microsoft 365 subscription. So it can be accessed by anybody, totally free. You can access it via the Microsoft Edge web browser button in the top right hand corner, as you can see there in the image. Or alternatively, you can go to any browser and navigate to copilot.microsoft.com. As I said, totally free and available to all. But this free version does have some limitations. It only uses public knowledge from the web, so it uses the Bing search engine to return responses. It's important to note that this standalone free version, it should not be used for business purposes, as it's not subject to Microsoft Enterprise Security. So, any data that's shared with the search engine could then potentially not necessarily be secure. Next up is Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. Now, this is included as part of Microsoft 365, included in most Microsoft 365 accounts, again, at no additional cost. As long as you have a Microsoft 365 standard license, you should be able to see an icon for Copilot in the left rail of the Microsoft 365 homepage, or you'll also find it in Teams and also in Outlook. This Copilot is grounded in the web data, and we can also upload files to work with. So we could use we could upload various different business files, because this version does comply with the enterprise security policies of Microsoft that keep our organization's data safe. That means basically, it means our data never leaves your Microsoft 365 tenant, and it's not used to train AI models. Again, the limitation here is if you want Copilot to work with your business files, your business data, as I said, you have to upload them from your device. So they literally have to be on your hard drive. You need to upload them from there. You'll soon, something that's coming very soon, you'll be able to change that so that you'll be able to reference OneDrive and SharePoint files as well. But you are limited to 3 files at any given time within a conversation. Last but not least, or the best, I should say, I've saved for last, that is a full Microsoft 365 Copilot license. Again, the naming is a little confusing. So this is the most comprehensive offering, and it's designed for enterprise users. This version integrates into the Microsoft 365 application. So if you have a Copilot license, not quite how much it costs, about 25, 30 pounds a month per person, then you will see Copilot in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, Outlook, and even in SharePoint, where you'll be able to leverage organizational data, providing and making it context aware, and providing some automation. So, for example, you could open up Word and you could draft documents based on either existing files, you can summarize documents, and so on. Microsoft 365 Copilot also includes Copilot Chat, which in this setting sort of is known as business chat or biz chat, and this feature acts as a personal assistant who can work across all your organizational data. And just so for clarity for this webinar, I am using a full Microsoft 365 Copilot license, but you could possibly still perform some aspects of this process within Microsoft 365 Copilot chat without a Copilot license. But I think you'd be fairly limited with that. You really do need the full Microsoft 365 Copilot version. So if you're aware with using AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT or Copilot, when we work with these tools, we prompt the tool Copilot or ChatGPT to give it instructions. And it's the quality of the prompts that make the difference between receiving a helpful, insightful response from Copilot and one that might feel a bit vague or off target. So we don't want to be ambiguous. We don't want to be broad. We want to be very, very specific. So in order to put a prompt together, we can use some different frameworks. And the one I'm going to focus on is called the GCES framework, the GCES framework. And let's look at all the different elements of this framework. So starting with the G, which stands for goal. And this is where you define what you want to achieve from your prompt, from Copilot. So think of it as setting a destination. Instead of saying something vague like write an email about a project that you're working on, a better approach would be something more specific, like draft a follow-up email to client so-and-so requesting feedback on phase 2 of deliverables by Friday. So you're being much more specific what you want to achieve. It's clear and it's less room for any ambiguity. Excuse me. The context, this is where you provide a bit of background information to help Copilot understand the bigger picture. So again, if we're thinking of the example I gave before, and say our client was a healthcare provider with limited technical expertise, it might be worth mentioning that within the prompt so that the response is tailored accordingly. So the context sort of ensures that the output aligns with your audience or the situation. Oh, see, we've jumped ahead to expectations, which is the E of the GCES framework. And this is basically what we want to get back from Copilot, from the AI. What we want the response to be. Do we want bullet points? Do we want a formal tone? Or a detailed analysis? So being much more specific. So maybe if we're asking a Copilot to summarize a meeting, you might say, present the information in bullet points with a friendly tone. And finally, we've got the source. This is where you point Copilot to specific data or documents it should reference. So if you're drafting a report or proposal, for example, you might direct it to use last month's project report meeting or any other relevant emails. And if you don't specify a specific source, it will most likely go out to the web and find information based on that. So let's have a look at an example prompt. So prompts can be quite long, and let's just see how we can identify those different sections, those different elements of a prompt. So we talked about maybe putting some context in first of all. So this is saying what the context of the procurement is going to be. Why are we prompting Copilot in the first place? What our goal is to write a plan, for example, in this case, to improve the efficiency and transparency of the procurement. Expectations, so what we want to get back, how do we want to get it back from Copilot, so it should be formal and professional, providing recommendations, and and finally the source.
Just on the source, David, there's a question in the chat here around that. So do you have to upload the source directly to this, or can you provide a kind of a prompt to go and find it from elsewhere?
Well, again, that sort of depends on the sort of license that you have. If you don't have the full Microsoft 365 license, then you will have to upload the documentation. I think you can have up to 3 as part of a conversation. But then if you have a full Microsoft 365 Copilot license, then effectively you really don't have to specify, you don't have to you can reference it if you want, but basically Copilot will have access to that information and should be able to find the information that you require. So it really depends on the license.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
So I see that there's a question here regarding upgrading Copilot on existing enterprise license for a business. Should be very simple to do that, because effectively you keep your existing enterprise licenses and you're just buying additional licenses, however many you require. And then you're assigning those licenses to individual users, maybe as a pilot, first of all, a small number, and then rolling it out more widely. Advantage of using Copilot over other AI tools such as ChatGPT. So I would say the main advantage is a seamless integration within the Microsoft 365 suite. So that means Copilot can work directly with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Teams, which is not something that you can do with other so easily with other AI tools. And of course, you've got the enterprise protection, which safeguards company data. If you upload data to other AI tools, that could potentially be used to train other AI models. So I think that's really all the questions coming through so far. So in that case, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our scenario. We're going to get into the demo. So as I mentioned earlier, the scenario is a purchasing manager at a manufacturing company needs to find a new ERP system to streamline operations. And we're going to use Copilot within this process to streamline it, to make it more efficient, to speed things up, to be more productive. So let's take a look at what the procurement process would be like. So you might start off with the requirements, your system requirements. And I've got a document here that's already been created. So let me bring that up. So this is a requirements document that's been put together as part of a consultation within the organization. It lists all the requirements that are needed from the system, and this could be, say, a manual exercise, or we could have asked Copilot to create something like this for us. when it would go through Teams messages or emails or any other meetings that we might have. So this is our sort of our starting point, what our requirements are. So I've already got that created. So the next stage would be to draft the request for proposal, the RFP, and that's something that would be done by the procurement manager with the help of Copilot. And once that's been put together, we will publish the tender, it goes out to suppliers, suppliers make their submissions, and then once we've got our submissions back, we can evaluate those, again, with the help of Copilot. Maybe at this point, Copilot, again, could recommend, who the preferred supplier might be. But as we'll discuss at the end, that's not the end of the process. We still got to go through due diligence and make sure we ask our suppliers for a presentation, maybe a proof of concepts system, and at the end, again, we could feed all that information again into Copilot, and with our own experience, we can then make a system selection. So we're going to start off by drafting an RFP, by creating a request for proposal based upon that consultation document. And I'm going to do this in Microsoft Word. And you can access Word, of course, either on the desktop or on a browser. So I've got a blank Microsoft Word document here, and I'm using the browser. It does have some advantages to do it in the browser at the moment. I'll point out what that is very shortly. So in this case, I'm going to create an RFP from scratch. I could base it upon previous RFPs, but I'm going to ask it to create one from scratch. And I'm going to use the GCES framework. So I just want to share that prompt with you, first of all, before I put it into Copilot. So it is quite a bit of a long prompt. So I won't read through it. I'll just give you the gist of it. So again, we've got the context to say that we are we're looking for an ERP system, and that we want a comprehensive RFP which should go out to suppliers, and based upon the ERP system requirements document. We are now going into the expectations here. It's telling us what we want to get back from Copilot. So within that RFP, we want sections relating to the introduction and overview, what the scope of work is, submission guidelines, and then we've also got some timelines here that I'm specifying of when the format that we want to get back the information, when's the deadline, what the timeline for the whole process looks like, and what the project timeline is. So that's as much information that I'm going to provide to Copilot to create this RFP. So if I go back into Word, and I'm just going to, I've already got that text ready for me here. So I'll just paste that in to the Copilot box here. Now, the only other thing I need to do here is I want to reference that consultation document, which I put into, here it is, it's in the text there. So I just take that bit of text out, and what I want to do is refer to that document. There's two ways I could do that. One way, I could just click on the little paperclip icon, or in mid-text, I could use the /, and this opens up this box, which is called the Context IQ, and it brings up documents, files, emails, meetings relating to what's currently we're working on. And you can see straight away it has found the ERP system requirements document. So I can select it from there. Now, if my file wasn't visible, the other process I could do is I could have a look at the files, other files that may Copilot thinks are relevant, emails and meetings. But I do have this upload button, that allows me to go to the cloud, which would be my OneDrive or SharePoint, and to browse files from there. So if it's not listed here, I can go directly to this button. And this is currently the advantage of using the online version of Word rather than the desktop version, because the desktop version doesn't yet have that button. It's coming soon, but it's not there yet. So I'll select the ERP system requirements. I've got the rest of my prompt there, as we've seen. All I need to do now is to let Copilot do the work. So I'll generate that, and we'll pray to the Copilot demo gods that everything is going to come back. So it's starting to look good. We'll just give that a few moments, and you can see it's included the project timelines, included budget information, what the evaluation criteria is. So this is a first draft, which may or may not fit my purposes. Let's just say I'm not quite liking its response. I might want to do a little bit of an edit. So I noticed that there was a lot of bullet points in there. So maybe I might want it to use less bullet points, something to that effect. Spelling right? So what it will now do, we'll start again, revise that whole process. And should be seeing that there are less bullet points. So it's more coherent paragraphs. Now, if there was one particular paragraph I wasn't very happy with and I wanted to maybe make it longer or shorter or something like that, again, I could just highlight the paragraph in question, use this little icon to the left, which is Draft with Copilot, click on that, and I get the idea to, if I want it just to auto rewrite it from scratch, or if I want to make it shorter, make it more formal, visualize in a table if necessary, but this wouldn't be useful at this point. Or again, I could type in another prompt to give it a bit more information. So let's just say auto rewrite. So it's just going to auto rewrite that section again. And just let's say I'm happy with that now. So I'll click on replace, and it's replaced that new that section. So when we're working with AI tools, the first response is very unlikely to be the one that we want. We're always going to have a conversation, make changes, but it's better than starting with a blank document. You have some content there you can already work with. So this is now already saved directly to my OneDrive, the request for proposal for the ERP system. If I'm happy with that now, once I've made any additional changes, I can now send this off to the suppliers, to the vendors. So if we again just look at our procurement process, we've drafted the RFP. Let's say we've now sent it off and we published the tender, and the suppliers have made their submissions. What's left for us to do now in the next stage of the process is to evaluate those proposals. And there's probably two steps to this section. And that is to create an evaluation guide and then the supplier evaluation report. So the evaluation guide is a document that describes the scoring criteria for evaluating supplier proposals. It's also can be referred to as a rubric. It's going to define the criteria for that we set out in the RFP. So this could be, support and maintenance. How many points does each supplier get for that particular criteria? 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, and so on. How well does the supplier demonstrate within their RFP that they are complying or meeting that particular criteria. And once we've created the evaluation guide, then we can proceed to score and evaluate the supplier submissions, and we'll do that in the supplier evaluation report. So let's create that evaluation criteria. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new document. So let's go to File, select New Blank Document. There we go. And once again, I've got a quote prompt here that is ready for pasting in. And just while we're waiting for that document to load, let's have a look at that prompt. So again, based on the evaluation criteria that's in the system requirements document, I'm going to be referring back to that. Create an evaluation guide, a rubric that grades each criteria to 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest, what grading what the supplier needs to demonstrate to attain that score. Maybe also include some examples of what's considered as meeting each of those grading criteria. So let's go back into Word again, and I've already copied that, so hopefully you can paste that in again. Once again, I'm just going to modify this so it refers back to the system requirements document. So I'll just delete that bit of text and /in. Let's go to Files, ERP system requirements. That's the document that we want. And let's run that. Let's Copilot do its work. So for each of the core functionality, so inventory management, you can see now it's provided a score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, describing what that score is, giving some examples of how a supplier demonstrates that particular score. So you can see for each of the criteria, production planning and control, we've got similar tables here. Again, we're saving this RFP evaluation guide for ERP system. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just modify that slightly, the name, and just call it RFP evaluation guide. So this is actually still running, still creating it for all the various different criteria. So once I come down to the bottom there, again, I could read through it. I can ask for changes. I can make manual changes. I'm just going to click on keep it. So that basically means Copilot has done its job now. And again, that's a manual document I can continue to use in order to make changes and update accordingly. It's important that, again, when you do this, to make sure that you check that this system, this scoring system, aligns with what the business requires. Again, you may not be quite right the first time, but again, it saves you the time. You've got a document you can then go in and make changes to, rather than starting from a blank document. So the next stage is going to be to evaluate some of the supplier submissions, and probably just take a look at one just to get an idea what that might look like. So I'm just going to open up this first one. So I've got 3 here from 3 different suppliers that are bidding, if you like, for this particular contract. So they will have looked at the various different criteria, and hopefully they'll demonstrate, just taking a few moments to open, how they meet their criteria. I mean, it's a pretty, in this case, for this example, there are simple, more simplistic documents. Probably in real life are a bit more longer and in detailed as well. But again, the concept and the principle is the same. So I'm going to create another document. So this document is going to be our evaluation report. So I'll just wait for this document to be created. I'm going to ask for Copilot to return its information in a table. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to change the layout. So this the orientation is in landscape. So when we get big tables, it just fits and looks better. So once again, let's take a look at the prompt that we are going to use in this case. So again, we're giving a little bit more context, and we're telling us we've received 3 proposals, which will reference directly the proposals we saw in a moment. And we're telling Copilot to create a table. So that's part of the expectations, how we want the information to be returned to us, with the supplier name headings along the top, and then down the side, we want to use the rubric criteria, which we are specifying as part of the prompt. And we're adding some additional information at the end that's going to provide a summary of a recommendation of a preferred supplier and why, based upon this information. So instead of a rubric criteria here, we're going to refer that to the evaluation report that we created. The evaluation criteria, the evaluation guide that we created a few moments ago. Okay, so let me just get that prompt and pop that into Word, Copilot to Word, and I'm just going to delete those references here, and I'm going to, in this case, I am going to use the upload button and go to SharePoint, which will be listed the various different sites that I use within the organization. Hopefully it's going to come up. Let's go to the procurement site, under tenders, and I think it's ERP procurement, supplier submissions. This allows me to select all 3 all in one go, rather than having to do that separately in the way we saw before. So I'll attach those: vendor 1, which is Next Dynamics; vendor 2, ERP TechStream; and vendor 3, ERP proposal from InfoLogic. So the other thing I was wanting to do is replace this with the evaluation guide we created a few moments ago. So I'll do that in the way that we did before, by putting in a /. There's the RFP evaluation guide. So we've done that. I don't think there's anything else we need to provide it in order to perform its what we're asking it to do. So let's generate that. Let's let Copilot look at those 3 different suppliers coming back in a table. As you can see, it's scoring. Go back up a bit. So we've got the various different criteria for each of supplier. It's scoring, and it's giving a reason for the score. So Next Dynamic has basic inventory functions with minimal automation. TechStream provides advanced real-time tracking. InfoLogic offers comprehensive tracking, but some advanced features may need additional modules. So hence the scoring for that. So it's gone through the whole of all the submissions by supplier. It's made a score of each of the criteria, and at the end we've got the overall score, and it looks like that supplier, which is I think it was TeamStream, based upon the detailed evaluation of the ERP proposal. TeamStream is the preferred supplier. Again, I'll just click on keep it. If I wanted to, again, I could make some additional changes to it, ask it to redo it if needed, but I don't think so in this case. So we've got our report, and we've got, you can see straight away how well each supplier has performed against each criteria and why, and we've got a recommendation. However, is that the end of things? Let's just move on. And the answer to that question is at the end of things. No, it is not. So although the AI Copilot can offer a valuable insight as it has done for us there, we can't just depend on it alone. Human judgment, experience, and context are pretty crucial for making these well-rounded decisions, especially when there's a big cost to it. So we must always combine AI outputs with your own experience or your stakeholders or your colleagues. So the next steps might include, sharing AI's recommendation with your colleagues, with key stakeholders like IT, operations, finance, and even end users. Get them involved in the consultation. You might then further ask all the shortlisted suppliers for demonstration of proof of concept to see how that performs. And then again, you may, at the end of all that, repeat that evaluation process again, include transcripts from the suppliers' presentations as well within that evaluation, and again to see if Copilot still recommends the preferred supplier, or maybe some other supplier should be awarded the contract. But again, it's the human oversight is really essential. It's done the groundwork for us, and we can take it there further. So if we just really sum up what we've been looking at, so we've seen how we can bring AI into this particular process with real advantages, even though that human oversight is still needed. It does speed things up by handling repetitive tasks. So this is something we're doing regular. We can get to the end result quicker through these data-driven insights. As I've said already, it's really important not to rely on AI alone. Use it alongside your experience, and these will make your processes more effective and competitive. That's the end of my demo, and I'm going to hand you back to Sam.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. That really, really was very, very useful. I learned something anyway. So I think there's a lot of questions coming in on the chat, so I'll read through those in a second. But I think it's the main point I got was just the optimization and the fact that this is a Microsoft product. It's already baked into everything. You don't have to then use another license and risk your data being shared elsewhere. And it seems just to be so easy just to hit files, drag that in, press go. Obviously, like you said, you still need the oversight. I'd be interested to see if there's some procurement people on the call, what your views would be on from like a governance and an oversight point of view. Like, how would you make sure that, if you're going to say, please score, press go, how do you then from your business side look at that and say, okay, are we happy that the AI has scored that correctly, without you then having to reread the document, because then you lose maybe any of the benefit you would have got by getting it. So it'd be interesting to see from a kind of internal governance point of view how that would work. We have got some questions here. So first one's, are there any other prompt frameworks?
Yes, there are some other prompt frameworks available. I don't think we've got time to go into all of them at the moment. The one I'm sort of thinking about is a role-based framework where you tell Copilot to act as a particular person. So you are the procurement manager, you are the HR manager, and so on. And again, provide an aim, what want that person to achieve. So it's a more a role-based framework. As I say, there are others that you can look up again if you just search for prompt frameworks.
No, fantastic. So the next one, this is the magic bullet one, David. Is there a way I can measure the ROI of using Microsoft Copilot? And then can you use Copilot to streamline the supplier onboarding process after they've decided on the supplier? So they've gone through the funnel, they've said, yes, I want tenderer number one. Can you then
Right.
kind of onboard them?
Right, right. Yeah, measuring ROI is really important. I think to measure the effectiveness of and the ROI of this process, organizations need to be setting themselves clear objectives, KPIs, key performance indicators, things like just gathering metrics such as cost savings, time efficiency, error reduction, improve supplier performance if that's possible. And as well as those insights, Microsoft provide a dashboard, a Copilot dashboard in the admin center, which you can gather insights and feedback from there. You can track, for example, how frequently Copilot is being used across different teams and different departments. I think to your second question about streamlining, I think it was the onboard process
Yeah.
after the procurement. So I think after procurement decision has been made, you can further automate that process then by providing the documentation with suppliers, such as these could be things like contracts or compliance forms and all other paperwork to make sure it's completed accurately and in an efficient way. Also, another side of the automation could be managing communications. So again, so drafting and sending personalized emails to suppliers with again instructions and other information that would be useful as part of them becoming a supplier for the organization. So yes, absolutely, we can take Copilot further into the onboarding process.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I think that is all of the questions that were in the chat. If anyone else has got any emergency questions they want to ask, feel free to chuck them in. If not, I think that concludes our first webinar. Like I said, we're going to be running these throughout the year with various different topics, with hopefully some guest speakers on as well. So it will we'll keep you guys posted on that, and keep an eye out for when you see things shared on social media for our next webinar. But thank you all very much for attending. Really do appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Bye-bye.
guys.